You mentioned 6 week sprints. How do you guys use those internally? Those almost feel like OKRs in themselves, right? Just like shorter cycles, right?
Yeah, it's interesting actually because we've just started this. We're kind of thinking about how we can work moving forward up, especially after the redundancies in the summer. And we've just moved offices, or we've just moved out of the office that we had for the past year, getting too expensive essentially. And how can we, move forward in a hybrid model? Everyone is looking in the world at the moment at how to work effectively. And what we've kind of settled on, at least for now, is working in kind of 8 week cycles with a 6 week sprint and 2 weeks kind of to tie up loose ends slash rest and recover. And what we're going to do, because previously we had 2 or 3 days in the office, so everyone was in person for those days, and it was a bit more interactive. We're going to just define week one as the week that we're all in person, and then the rest of the 6 weeks you can come in if you want, or come work from co-work together in a WeWork or whatever. But it's only week one where we're going to be really intense in getting everyone on the same page, aligning on goals for the 6 weeks. What are the key things we need to hit? What are the key projects we need to execute on? And then for the rest of the 5 weeks after that is just working on those things. And then again, 2 weeks to tie up loose ends, and then back to week one again. And what we're going to be doing is that week one is going to alternate between being in person in London, which is where we're all based, to in person in either somewhere else in the UK or abroad. And so the company is going to pay for everyone to, for example, I think in February, we're all going out to Lisbon for a week to have that kind of first week in person abroad. And just as a kind of, I think it'd be very good for the team culture, I think, more broadly, which is something I need to think about as the integrator. And I think it's just an interesting model that I haven't seen anyone else do, and I think it could work quite effectively. And alternating it between like London and abroad and that kind of thing, I think it's just be like quite a fun thing to do. I think it'll bring the team closer together. And given that we are hybrid, we have the ability to do it. We have the money to be able to do it. We may as well do it. But it's that kind of that sprint model has actually worked very well. We've done one sprint so far, which is ending this week. But it's been so much more effective. We used to work quarter to quarter, and I'm sure this is reflective of other companies as well. You'd get to kind of the end of the second month, start of the third month, and you think, oh, things are still on track to be met this quarter. And you get to week 3 of that third month and think, shit, things are off track. We're not going to get this. We're not going to meet this thing by the end of the quarter. Whereas 6 weeks, it's like, right, this is week 2. Are we on track for this thing being done by the end of week 6? And I don't know why. Essentially, it's just a time thing, but it just provides that kind of more defined focus in a shorter period of time. And we're working week to week rather than month to month. And everyone just seems to be more on track. We definitely seem to have got more done in the last 6 weeks than we have when we've done kind of a comparable amount of targets for quarters. And so I'm hopeful that this new system will work quite well. But we have evolved, as I said, we've kind of evolved numerous different systems over the past 2 years as we've gone from fully remote to hybrid to office to back to hybrid again. So this is kind of the next evolution of how we're going to operate as a business. And because no one's done it before, I'm quite excited to see how it actually works, because I think it could, obviously people have done sprints before, I understand that, but this whole for 1 week in person, 5 weeks hybrid, I think could work quite effectively. So I'm quite excited to see how that comes together and the effect it has on the team as well. Because I actually think with a slightly smaller team now, and then 1 week completely in person in each other's company for a whole week for every 8 weeks, I think could actually be quite good. So yeah, I'm quite hopeful for how it's going to pan out.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more. That sounds very motivating as well as a team member.
Yeah.
Can you give an example of this first sprint, for example? Like, how do you organize it as far as like, hey, like these are, there's a bunch of different people doing different things on the team, right? Like, how do you pull everyone together for like a common goal, or is that how it works? Or
yeah, so we have like different departments in the team. So we've got YouTube, deep dive, PTWA, social media, book, website. We have all those different departments. We have a meeting each week with the team leads of all those departments. So it's like 8 people. So it's more or less 70% of the team anyway. And that's kind of a Monday morning each week. And everyone had like 5 or 6 different projects that they were working on. and they would in that meeting they would each give an update on where they were, what they were going to achieve through that week, whether things were going to be pushed over to the done column, and when things were going to likely to be done, if things were on track or off track or that kind of thing. So that's how we kept track of everything. I might just be able to pull the Sprint Hub up. Actually, let me just have a
that'd be great.
This is it's a really, really basic Notion page, with 2 days left in the sprint now, starting on August the 31st. This is just our project database. So like we have a bucket list of stuff, which is basically a long list of things that we're dropping in there the whole sprint to think about next sprint. Basically, we've got happening this sprint, which is projects that people are working on, and this is the first time we've done it, so it's a bit of an iterative process. In the future, we want those projects all to roll up to a wider objective with the KPI thing coming in. But for now, it was mainly like things that we know we need to get done in each department, and then done is obviously things that have been done. So take like deep dive, for example. These were kind of things that we needed to discuss, like renaming the podcast. We had 2 podcast to video conversions that we needed to do, which is basically when we take a podcast interview, wrap a story around it, and turn it into a video for the main channel. We've done one of those up to now, and it had done really well. So we wanted to get another 2 of those done this sprint, and that actually takes quite a while to put all that together. Strategy for social media is what's been done, post-production workflow, and then building a new podcast studio is actually one that I'm in charge of, and I'm currently sitting in what is essentially a podcast studio, although it's not quite finished yet.
Well,
so that's why it's still happening this sprint. But yeah, so all of them have these kind of different key projects that people are working on.
But essentially, you guys will pick a couple of these. Like right now, you pick a couple of these for each team, and the goal is like finish these by the end of the sprint, right?
Exactly.
And then it's like you meet with the team leads every Monday for like an hour, and you guys everyone updates you, and then. But essentially, it's just like a time period. It's 6 weeks. We got to accomplish all these goals by the end of the 6 weeks, and then just like cadence, like let's check in.
Exactly, and like
on target or not.
Like all of it's a very, very simple board, and all of these have week number, whether it's off track or on track, and a sprint number as well, because obviously we're coming up to the next sprint, and a week when that's going to be in theory done. Jakob has been caught up with marketing stuff, which is why this is slightly off track, but that's kind of how it's working. But it's as I said, it's worked well for us so far, and we're hoping that when we iterate on it again at the end of October, when we go into the second sprint, that those projects are a bit more defined and each one has a wider kind of company objective. This time it was far more around, okay, let's just regroup and work out what we need to get done to move all these things forward, which is why some of them were slightly less defined than others, like figure out what the hell we're doing with X as a project. But yeah, it's been really effective so far, at least from my perspective. So it's been easier as an integrator to keep across things when it's like presented like this than anything else we've done before. And just as I said, just seeing things as week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, whatever, it's just helped so much more effective.
If you like this short clip, make sure to check out the full interview right here and subscribe to the channel for more behind the scenes interviews with the people working for your favorite entrepreneurs and creators.